Hi, I'm Diane Sweeney, and I'm the author of Student-Centered Coaching. And today's video will focus on the expectation around coaching cycles. So with student-centered coaching, we truly believe that going deep is what really matters. And by going deep, what we mean is coaching into ongoing learning that's happening among a group of students, coaching into that over time with a little duration so that you can see the growth among the students and you can see the changes in instructional practice. So if you've read about student-centered coaching, you know we oftentimes circle back to the power and the importance of coaching cycles. Just a little bit of information is they are about 4 to 6 weeks long, sometimes maybe 3 weeks long, but typically about 4 to 6 weeks long, and they align with a unit of study. So a coaching cycle involves some goal setting, some co-planning, some co-teaching, and by doing that, the coach and teacher are partners through the unit in a way where they can then see the growth that happened at the end through a lot of assessment, first of all, but also through just being together in the teaching and learning. And so when we think about coaching cycles and the importance, we can be kind of tough when we work with teams of coaches in the idea of getting these coaching cycles going, staying involved in coaching cycles, because we see this as our deepest and most measurable work. So when we think about a coaching cycle and how much or how little to expect and how a principal can support this, the first question we often hear is, what can be shared? Who knows what? How are coaches collaborating with the principal in discussing what's happening in coaching cycles? And this comes down to the question oftentimes of confidentiality. So we see coaching cycles as being so rooted in teaching and learning that a lot of what happens can be shared with the principal. And that way the principal can set the expectation that they have a window into the work a coach is doing in a school, but also the principal can set the expectation that they're happening at all. So we see the balance being about 60% of a coach's time in cycles, and the rest of the coach's time, 40% or so, is doing the other work that coaches do, like informal support with classroom management, curriculum and instruction work, maybe planning units with teachers, meeting with the principal. So there's a lot of other stuff beyond coaching cycles that coaches do. But you'll see when we think 60-40 is our split, you'll see that what we're saying is most of a coach's work is in coaching cycles. This then sets the expectation that coaches are enacting the actual role of being a coach. And that's important because we don't want to have folks called coaches out in schools who aren't really coaching. And to be coaching in student-centered coaching, most of it's done through coaching cycles. So you can see the direct connection there. So how can a principal then really create the conditions where a coach is thriving and supported in their implementation of coaching cycles? There are a few things a principal can do that we find are really important. First thing a principal can do is just celebrate and encourage teachers to engage in coaching cycles. They have to believe in them themselves. The principal has to convey that this is where the great work is. Coaching cycles can happen with individuals or teams, so a principal may be encouraging both groups of teachers, individual teachers, pairs of teachers to get involved in coaching cycles. That alone makes a huge difference. Another thing that a principal can do to support coaching cycles is can kind of set forth clear expectations around instruction in a school. So a principal might say, we're using student-friendly learning targets for kids to be self-assessing in our classrooms. That's my expectation as the school leader. And then can remind teachers that the coach is there to help you implement those expectations that I carry and that I've voiced throughout the school community. The last thing a principal can do to really expect and promote coaching cycles is to celebrate. So we find savvy principals all over who are able to say, hey, at the staff meeting, will you speak to the work you've been doing with your coach? Or, hey, here's a little video of a teacher testimonial about a coaching cycle. Or even just pulling aside a teacher in a hallway and saying, hey, I hear you're in a coaching cycle, and that you're working with the coach on problem solving and reasoning. That's great. I'm so glad to hear that. That's huge, and that's a big part of our school community. So the advocacy a principal does towards coaching cycles is hugely important. A coach really can't shake the trees and get this work going without that advocacy and the leadership from the principal. And the first thing you have to do to advocate is to expect, right? The first thing you have to do to advocate is to be able to say, this matters. This is important in our school community. And once that happens, you find that the pieces start to fit together. You find teachers engaging because they know that that's the expectation. You find quality work happening, and you find coaches doing the work that matters most. And by that, we mean the work that impacts teaching and impacts learning. Thanks so much.